Welcome to Nasdaq TradeTalks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for this segment, we have Kevin Hart, CEO of GreenCheck Verified, to discuss some of the effects from Silicon Valley Bank's fallout on cannabis banking. Kevin, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
No, thanks, Jill. Pleasure to be here.
You got it. What are some of the effects that you're seeing from SVB's fallout on cannabis banking, which has been a booming market?
Well, it was very interesting. I mean, when the news broke, we knew full on that a lot of financial institutions, in fact, every financial institution was going to do a deep internal analysis and say, are we next? What's our risk profile look like that? And we were fully expecting that to cause a big pullback on clients that we were talking to of entering the space or clients that were already in the space. Thankfully, we did not see the full effect that we thought, where in fact, we hit our Q1 sales goals with new financial institutions where they went in and they analyzed themselves as to where they are. However, it still is having a ripple effect because of so many of those clients that were impacted with SVB, especially in the fintech side in their service to the industry. So it's still shaking out, but it is not nearly as profound and deep and wide as I thought it might have been.
Tell us about GreenCheck Verified and cannabis banking. What are some of the challenges or voids that you help to fill in this space?
Well, the simple summary level is financial institutions are looking at a high-risk, federally illegal business. And at the end of the day, the summary point that we've always defined it as is, how do they know they're letting good money in and keeping the bad money out? That's what it boils down to. There's bad actors, there's bad products, there's bad sales, and certainly there's bad dollars. So how does a financial institution know that the business they're working with is compliant, licensed, and all the necessary paperwork? But also, how is all the commerce compliant at that single dollar level? And that's what they really need to be able to see day in and day out at a scaled business. And that's what we enable through our technology platform, which connects the cannabis businesses to the financial institutions.
You recently raised $6 million in a Series A led by Mendon Venture Partners. What are your priorities for the rest of 2023? And do you plan to scale in any particular market?
Well, we're wrapping up an acquisition that we announced at the end of 2022, and that was for PayQuick, a parallel company that was involved in the cannabis banking space. And we have a few other ideas of which we intend to follow up on in the cannabis space. The industry is going through a little bit of a tumult and turmoil based upon the price point of the product and the maturity of the industry and the operators. You're seeing some of the bigger operators move out of the West Coast and move over to the East Coast or other areas. And because we have a national footprint, we operate with banks and credit unions in all 38 states. We're seeing the product in the money movement, in the trend lines moving. And you also, because interstate commerce is still the only method of operating with the plant itself, you're seeing different price compression points and different models associated with that. When you start looking about canopy grow and how the product ultimately ends up into the market.
You also launched GreenCheck Connect, a centralized platform for cannabis-related businesses called CRBs to access business and financial services. What kind of response have you gotten so far, and how many businesses are using this platform?
So we have over 5,000 businesses that are connected to GreenCheck Verified, the parent. And so by virtue of that, they all actually are now part of the Connect family. We just moved them over directly. And what it really is that the cannabis industry should not have as much trouble as they've had historically finding access to financial and business services. And to Connect, what it is a single-stop shop that allows them not only to look for a different banking relationship, but to look for loans, to look for insurance, to look for other payment products associated with it. And because the industry is still so young, and if you just take insurance as an example, what's the underwriting history of the cannabis industry? It's very minimal. But if you have been an operator and you've been in business for years and you can show that you run a compliant business, that you're meeting all the thresholds of compliance, et cetera, you should get a better offer for insurance than, say, somebody who's brand new and just entering a high-risk industry. And so it's utilizing compliance and operating history to better present better products and services to the operators and to the people who want to serve the industry, because they're also at that same trouble point of not understanding the history and what are the trend lines that they should be looking for.
What's your take on the renewed push for the passage of the SAFE Act? Where does it stand right now?
Oh boy, yeah, I wish I had $1 for every time somebody raised their hand and said SAFE is going to pass. So I mean, my crystal ball is as clear as anybody else's, but I just don't see it happening this year. I just think there's bigger challenges going on. It's political theater in a lot of regards, sadly. People will raise their hands and raise their voices around election time and make some false promises, et cetera. But it's much more complex than just Safe Banking Act. The Safe Banking Act in and of itself is not the silver bullet or the panacea that a lot of people think or would like it to be, because you still have to deal with the regulations around the plant, the descheduling of the plant, and the other interests that are associated with it. And that means a lot more agencies have to be involved, and a lot more people are going to be involved in how the product is viewed and then enabled through the entire system.
And finally, anything else we should know about GCV as we look towards the future?
We're having fun. When we first started this, you started the conversation and we went to financial institutions. So we like to talk to you about cannabis banking, and we would get the Heisman pose where, we didn't even get to the second word. But we're seeing more and more financial institutions recognize the size and scope of the market, and they are coming into it with, instead of just deposit services, they're looking at it through the lens of lending and doing the things that banks do, especially up against the rate and the cost of money right now because of the Fed interest rate. So more and more banks are realizing, wait, we have this multi-billion-dollar industry right outside our aluminum doors that are trying to get in. Let's open them up and let these people in and work with them in a compliant way. So we're hopeful for the growth.
All right, Kevin, we appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thank you, Joe.